Imagine if doctors could tell a child was going to develop type 1 diabetes years before a single symptom showed up. Now imagine they could give that child a treatment that would push the disease back, buy them real time before it took over their life. For the first time ever, that's not imagination, it's approved medicine. The NHS in England and Wales has just approved Teplizumab, the world's first drug proven to delay the onset of type 1 diabetes. Experts are calling the decision genuinely exciting. Diabetes charities are calling it Momentous, the payoff of decades of research. So what exactly is this drug? Who can get it? And what does it actually mean for the families living with this disease? By the end of this video, you'll understand all of that, plus the real stories of two families whose lives were already changed by it. But first, to understand why this is such a big deal, we need to understand what type 1 diabetes actually is. It's an autoimmune condition. Normally, your immune system exists to protect you, hunting down viruses and bacteria before they can do damage. But in type 1 diabetes, that same system turns on the body itself. It mistakenly attacks the insulin-producing cells inside the pancreas. Insulin is the hormone that lets sugar move out of the bloodstream and into your cells, where it's used for energy. As more of those insulin-producing cells get destroyed, the body loses its ability to make enough insulin, and without it, blood sugar climbs to dangerous levels. This is not the same as type 2 diabetes, which is often, though not always, tied to excess weight and insulin resistance. Type 1 can strike at any age, but it's most often diagnosed in children and teenagers. And once it's diagnosed, there's no going back. Patients monitor their blood sugar constantly and take insulin by injection or pump for the rest of their lives. Let it drop too low, and it's a medical emergency. Let it stay too high for years, and it damages blood vessels, nerves, kidneys, eyes, organs throughout the entire body. That's the disease Teplizumab is now going up against.
And what makes it different from everything that came before is what we'll get into next.
So, what is Teplizumab exactly? First, let's be clear about what it isn't. It isn't insulin. It doesn't replace what the body has lost. Instead, Teplizumab is an immunotherapy. It works on the immune system itself, slowing down the attack on the pancreas, rather than treating the symptoms after the damage is done. By protecting whatever insulin-producing cells are still left, the drug buys the body time. And here's the number that matters. In clinical studies, Teplizumab delayed the onset of type 1 diabetes by an average of 3 years. 3 years without daily insulin injections, 3 years without constant blood sugar checks, 3 years without carbohydrate counting at every single meal. For a family living with this disease, that's not a small thing. That's years of a childhood given back. But there's a catch. This medicine only works if it's given before symptoms appear. Doctors have to catch it early, using blood tests that can show the immune system has already started its attack, even while the person still feels completely healthy. Right now, it's approved for people aged 8 and older, who are considered high risk. And the treatment itself isn't a pill you take home. It's delivered through an IV drip, once a day for 14 consecutive days in a row. That means 2 straight weeks of hospital visits. But once that course is done, it's done. Patients only go through it the one time. Now, statistics and mechanisms are one thing, but to really understand what this means, you have to meet the families who've lived it. Take Theo Sebastian Jenkins. He's 8 years old now, but he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at just 4. Before the diagnosis, his parents noticed the signs. He was unusually tired, constantly thirsty, and losing weight. They rushed him to the emergency department, and doctors confirmed it: type 1 diabetes. At the time, Theo was too young to qualify for Teplizumab. Today, his diabetes is managed carefully, but according to his mother, Vicky, it never really stops. Every meal has to be weighed, every carbohydrate counted, every insulin dose calculated, his blood sugar checked throughout the entire day. She describes it as something you can never switch off from. His father, Ben, believes that delaying the disease by even 3 years would have changed everything for their son. 3 extra years of childhood without that constant weight of worry and responsibility. Then there's Dimma from Newbury in Berkshire. When Dimma was 9, his family joined a UK research study funded by diabetes charities because one of his cousins already had type 1 diabetes. The study found that Dimma had a very high chance of developing the disease himself. Without that study, his family says they might never have known until symptoms hit, possibly as an emergency. Because of that early detection, Dimma became one of the first patients in the UK to receive Teplizumab on compassionate grounds before it was even officially approved. 14 straight days of IV infusions at the hospital. His mother, Elena, admits it was hard work, but she says it was worth every single visit. She describes what Teplizumab gave her family in one word: time. Time for Dimma to just be a normal kid. Time without insulin. Time without the constant burden of the disease, for him and for her as his mother. So, if this drug works, and clearly for Theo's family and Dimma's family, it means everything, why isn't every high-risk child getting it right now? Because there's one major challenge standing in the way: finding people early enough. Remember, Teplizumab only works before symptoms begin. That means doctors have to identify people who are developing type 1 diabetes before those people even know they're sick. And right now, that's incredibly difficult to do at scale. Italy is currently the only country in the world with a national screening programme for children. The UK doesn't have that yet. There's no routine NHS screening for type 1 diabetes risk. Instead, most people who do get identified early are found almost by chance, through research studies, blood tests done for unrelated reasons, or because they have relatives with the disease. But here's the part that makes this even more complicated. Most people diagnosed with type 1 diabetes have no close family history of it at all. Scientists believe environmental factors may also play a role in triggering the disease, which means family history alone can't catch most future cases. That's exactly why diabetes charities are now pushing for wider screening programs, so more children like Dimma can be identified in time to actually benefit from a drug like this. Then there's the question of cost. The published price for one course of Teplizumab is around £150,000. That's a striking number on its own. But the NHS negotiated a confidential discount with the manufacturer, Sanofi, bringing the real cost down, though that specific figure hasn't been made public. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE, is the body that approved the treatment for use in England and Wales. Their estimate is that around 1,100 adults and children could be eligible in the very first year, settling to roughly 820 people per year after that initial wave. Helen Knight, Director of Medicine's Evaluation at NICE, called the approval genuinely exciting. She said that for the first time, doctors have a treatment that can give people diagnosed at an early stage precious extra time before they face the full weight of managing type 1 diabetes. Diabetes charities are echoing that sentiment. Karen Addington, Chief Executive of Breakthrough T1D, says this moment has been decades in the making. Her point is simple. If it were your own child or someone you loved, you'd want to do everything possible to give them more years free from the daily burden of this disease. She believes Teplizumab makes that possible. And this might just be the beginning. Breakthrough T1D says several additional immunotherapy treatments are currently in development. The hope, eventually, is combinations of these medicines that could stop people from ever becoming dependent on insulin in the first place. One more thing worth knowing. This approval doesn't apply uniformly across the UK. NICE guidance doesn't automatically extend to Northern Ireland, and in Scotland, it's the Scottish Medicines Consortium that makes its own separate decisions on NHS medicines. They're expected to issue their own guidance on Teplizumab in early 2027. Let's be clear about what Teplizumab is not. It's not a cure. Most people who receive it will still eventually develop type 1 diabetes. That's an important distinction, and it's one worth sitting with. But delaying that disease by 3 years, that's still a historic achievement. For a child, 3 years can mean 3 extra birthdays, 3 more years of school without carbohydrate counting at every lunch, 3 summers without insulin injections interrupting the day, 3 years of simply getting to be a kid. And for parents, it means 3 more years before taking on a responsibility that, as Theo's mother put it, never really switches off. This approval marks the beginning of something new in how we treat type 1 diabetes, not just managing it after the fact, but stepping in before it fully takes hold. And researchers are already looking further ahead, toward a future where this disease isn't just delayed, but prevented altogether. If you found this video informative, make sure to like it, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might benefit from knowing this breakthrough exists. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.